breastfeeding week is going on, and today is our first lecture. I at times get surprised. India is a country, is a poor country. Everybody, I thought, the people here should be breastfeeding 100%. But the unfortunate part is that probably the multinationals are promoting their activity much faster than the volunteers like me and Anita. I don't have to say why breastfeeding is great. That to exclusive breastfeeding, not only the government of India, the Indian Academy of Pediatrics, the American Academy of Pediatrics speak that for 6 months exclusive breastfeeding must be given. Because it's the best food, it is easily digestible, it leads to very less allergies in the child, and you find that in these very patients, not only infections is less in the children, if you take the future, the obesity is less in them. And if the obesity is less, the cancer-related problems are less. It is free, it is convenient, and it is anytime on demand. And we have with us today, I have now seen a person more passionate about breastfeeding than Dr. Anita Gupta. Anita Gupta is a director professor at GTB Hospital. She has a lot of laurels, but the biggest laurel is she is WHO, BPNI resource person on breastfeeding. She teaches everybody on the breastfeeding. She's also a big resource person for the government of India, whether it is making the guidelines for COVID infections, whether it is in an MR program, and she's also a trainer for HIV infection. But today we are going to listen to her. It is her dream. Her dream is why gynecologists are not initiating breastfeeding within 1 hour after vaginal delivery and within 4 hours after cesarean section. So I have promised Anita that I will definitely see to it that her dreams get realized. So over to you, Dr. Anita.
And really, you always supported us, supported me also. Whenever I have come to you, I have got the courage, and really I have got so motivated by you. And thank you very much, ma'am. And I would really like to thank DGF also for giving me this opportunity to talk to such an audience. And really the passion of my heart is to teach everyone and to start breastfeeding within 1 hour of the birth. And so Malti, can I start my, as we all know from, as ma'am also said very nicely, that 1st to 7th we celebrate World Breastfeeding Week. Why this disturbance is there? World Breastfeeding Week. And the theme of this year is support breastfeeding for a healthier planet. So,
Malti, mute everybody. Malti, mute.
So, my topic is how to make our facility baby friendly in context to breastfeeding. So, as we are dreaming it that at least in our area and DGF, in Delhi, at least we should show some good reports, like we are able to do something, and we can show that because it's been said that private practitioners, it's not been starting, but I know everyone is trying and we need some knowledge and something, so start this Mohim. So first of all, I will be talking about the global recommendations and the breastfeeding practices. Ma'am very well said that it should be started within 1 week, 1 hour of the birth. And this requires full support and commitment from health professionals and birth attendant. Without that, it cannot be done. Similarly, the exclusive breastfeeding with no additional water or food or no formula, no animal milk. And that also requires a skill to maintain breastfeeding supply for first 6 months, that is 180 days. And continued breastfeeding for 2 years, in addition to complementary feeding, which we say family food, after the 6 months. So what do you mean by breastfeeding? Many times mothers come and say, because of hot weather, we are giving a sips of water, we are just giving a drop of water. So exclusive breastfeeding means giving baby only mother milk and no other food or drink, not even water. But vitamins, medicines prescribed by the physician or the express breast milk is allowed in exclusive breastfeeding. Recent evidences have suggested that 22.3% of neonatal deaths, that is within 2 to 28 days, can be saved if we can start breastfeeding within 1 hour. And if no milk, fluids, or other solids are given to the baby, we decrease the risk of neonatal death by 4 folds. So, see, so much without any cost. It has also been seen that if we increase the days, like if the breastfeeding is started on day 2, there are neonatal mortality risk is 2.5%, and it increases to 3.57 on the day 3. So it demonstrates clear dose relationship response relationship to neonatal mortality increases with increase in delay of breastfeeding. So we have to do it, and we are really getting determined this year that we will be doing some webinars and many things to skill build the people so that they can start the breastfeeding within 1 hour. If we see relative mortality risk in absence of breastfeeding, if breastfeeding is not started at all, then we see that at 2 months, the mortality rate risk is 6-fold. And at 2 to 3 months, the mortality risk becomes 4-folds. So, and so on. So, if the breastfeeding is started early, as we saw, it reduces the infection-specific neonatal mortality. That is 22% of all newborn deaths can be averted. And we all know, I'm not going to in detail what colostrum is. Colostrum is the first vaccination. It prevents hypothermia, fosters bonding, helps to act as a purgative and clears meconium, so less jaundice to the baby. It's rich in vitamin A, which is important for the eyes. It reduces chances of excessive postpartum bleeding also. So sooner mother starts breastfeeding. Nowadays, many mothers complain to us that they have got engorged breasts. So what happens? The 3rd day, the mature milk starts coming. And if it's not been taken it out, it causes problem. So sooner mother starts breastfeeding, sooner breast milk is produced and lower chances of engorgement, and it improves sustainability of the breastfeeding. Medically, it has been evident. So what the benefits also protects health and contributes to social and economic outcomes. So what it does, it protects against acute otitis media, less than 2 years, then diarrhea, pneumonia, type 2 diabetes, obesity in the bachas. And if we talk about the longer, it's been seen that the longer breastfeeding is associated with higher cognitive performance. An average of 3 IQ points controlling for maternal IQ has been seen, and improved academic performance, school performance. So every mother wants that if we tell them that. And so the increased adult earning. So let's see what are the benefits to the mother, as madam also narrated, that it protects against breast and ovarian cancer, which is a major cause of death in the women. Then pregnancy, it can be used as contraception, LAM. Then many mothers have a myth that they will lose their figure if they breastfeed, but it has been seen that it helps in figurement of the body as well as in developing the obesity. It also decreases PPH, so less bleeding and less anemia. And it has also been seen that there is a protection from insulin type 2 diabetes and gestational diabetics if they breastfeed their baby. If we look at the benefits to the family, the economic benefit, they don't have to buy milk, they don't have to buy bottles, so they have to pay less. Similarly, less illnesses to the baby, he will not get ill, no health expenditure, and family bonding. If we go to the society, it's eco-friendly, no fuel is used, no plastic bottles, no other soap and water is used. Then human resource development is better because these babies are with high IQ, and economic development of the society. So that's why the theme to this first time is that society improvement. As per Lancet 2016, it says that scaling up of breastfeeding to a near universal, like 100%, can save lives of 8 lakhs under 5 children annually, and 13.8% deaths of all less than 2 years, 20,000 maternal lives annually from breast cancer, 54%. Hello? Hello? Quite a lot of disturbance, Malti. Yeah. Prevent 54% of diarrhea episodes, 32% of respiratory infections, and improve cognitive human capital development. Thus, reduces health expenditure for government and the families. A huge global economic cost associated with not breastfeeding is around 340 billion. And it's into mortality, morbidity, health system cost, cognitive losses, household formula cost. So morbidity, if we go, 9,74,000 cases of childhood obesity could be attributed to not breastfeeding. And 5,95,000 childhood deaths and 98,000 maternal deaths are attributed to not breastfeeding according to global recommendation from WHO and UNICEF. 1.1 billion in health system treatment for diarrhea, pneumonia, and type 2 diabetes could be saved per year. Adequate breastfeeding could save over $285 billion in potential future income loss due to cognitive losses. And breastfeeding can save families up to 29% of their monthly income earning by not having to purchase formula. So let's see what is the current status of early and exclusive breastfeeding in India. As we all think every mother is breastfeeding, what is the problem? Most of our mothers are breastfeeding, but let's see why it's not good and why we are talking again and again about the breastfeeding improved rates. We all know that now 79 to 80% are delivering in the institution, but only 42% of the mothers initiate breastfeeding within the first hour of life. And only 1 in 2 children, that is 50% around, are exclusively breastfeeding for their first 6 months. So in 20 million of the 26 million births that are taking place in India are in health facility, and only 12 million newborns are breastfed within the first hour of the life. So highlighting a critical missed opportunity for newborns who do not receive their first inoculation against death and disease. This is just to highlight that where we stand. So NFHS 3 said that the initiation of breastfeeding was 24.5 and which has increased to 41.6 in 2015 and 16. But if we look at the Delhi figure, see, it is only 28%. So where we are lacking? So much behind the national figure. And if we talk about the exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months, again, it has improved only a little bit from 46.4 to 54.9 in 1 decade. And in Delhi, still it is 49.6. So what we can do and how we can sustain and make mother and baby friendly health system, so to improve our figures and so to help these mothers breastfeed their child comfortably and as of recommended schedule. So there are 10 steps mainly which has to be taken if we want to make our baby friendly hospital. And I think wherever the 1 or even more deliveries are taking place, we should adopt this module. And this has been said by the WHO, and globally it has to be followed. And I think previously we used to have baby friendly hospital initiative, which WHO is trying to again stimulate. As a MTP Act, we had many committees And once it comes into picture, we will be forced to do this and do that. So it's better we start doing and we make our facility baby friendly. So how to do it? That is again a challenge. So let me tell you what are the steps and how you can make your uh, place baby friendly. So there are 10 steps. 1 to 2 steps are managerial management steps, which the administrative faculty of the hospital should follow, and the clinical management, which the doctors who are doing the clinical management of the patient, they have to follow these guidelines. So the first is the critical management or procedures, the hospital policies. So anywhere, if you want to make it a baby friendly, you should have a policy. And this has got, the first point has 3 A, B, C. The first is that comply fully with the IMS Act provision and not promoting infant formula bottles and teats. So what happens, no one knows, many less people know that in our country, India, there is an act, and it has been it has been amended in parliament, and that says that no one can promote or market or gift anyone, the mothers or the health professional. It should not be promoted for the marketing, should not be done, as well as in hospital also. But many places I have seen, I've come across that the babies are given the gifts of formula and bottles, and they are asked to report in the hospital with the formula and feeds once they come to the hospital. So this is not as a crime, and if it's reported, the person can be imprisoned for 6 months. And I'm not going into detail. It's a big law, and which every gynecologist should know that it's a crime, and they can be without, if we are giving formula to a baby without the cause or without the reasoning, then it can be sued to the court. Then step 2 is we should have a written policy which should be informed to all the staff and parents, like we are not giving the formula, we are giving or exclusively breastfeeding, we are promoting breastfeeding. So all there are, the WHO has come out with the 10 points. So the same 10 points should be on your wall, and this poster which I am showing here is showing all the policies matters. Then MIYCN, that is maternal and infant young child feeding, nutrition counseling services should be provided at the service, all the service point deliveries. So nowadays I am doing a project with an NGO for 5 medical colleges in Bihar and 5 medical colleges in UP. And we are giving services at all the points, like as soon as the mother comes for the antenatal or even prenatal, her nutritional counseling has to be done. As soon as she goes to the labor room, she has to be talked about the breastfeeding, or before also. And then at all points, like when she is coming, discharging, again she should be counseled for her nutrition and baby nutrition. Then when she is coming for immunization, so all service delivery points, she has to be counseled for her nutrition as well as the baby nutrition. And we are also doing this project to include this matter, this nutrition to the undergraduate curriculum, so that they are also trained how to help these mothers with all the problems. Then the third step is monitoring and data management system. Unless until we don't know what is happening in our hospital, whether it has been given in 1 hour or all counseling we are doing at all the spots, has to be monitored and should be entered in the data system. And Government of India has started this form, and they have been asked, all the maternity services has been asked to fill up this form, and it has all IYCF components and indicators, like when the feeding was started, whether it was continued for 6 months, in immunization session, everywhere they have to record and send it to the government to have the better feedback. So the second step also is a administrative person's work, that he should make all staffs having sufficient knowledge, competency and skills to support breastfeeding. As I have seen many gynecologists, naturally they are busy also, and they say we don't have time to counsel our patients, but they should have their staff trained. So, and unless until they are not sensitized, they will not know that this can be done. So it's important to sensitize all the doctors, but it's really important also for all the staff. Whatever staff is posted and working with the mothers should have sufficient knowledge and competency and skills to support breastfeeding. So this should be the task of the administrator, to make their people sufficiently competent. Then comes the antenatal education. So many of the times we have so much of rush, we don't get time, but this is the time, because once the mother delivers, it's difficult for her to decide what to do. And if she is prepared, and it's been seen that if we do, many medical evidences and studies suggest that if the breastfeeding education is given during antenatal period, they do better, and the sustainability of breastfeeding is also better. So we have to again think what we have to tell at the antenatal education. Like we have to tell her the importance and management of breastfeeding, and also to all the pregnant mothers. And if possible, we should include the families also for the same. So these antenatal preparations are not necessarily to be done individually. They can be done in groups, where we can explain benefits of breastfeeding, simple importance information on how to breastfeed, like attachment and positioning, what happens after delivery, what will happen, what she has to do, what she has to take care, and we can discuss her individual questions also. But many times mothers are more worried, and if we come across such a mother, and individually also we can talk to her and ask about previous experiences, ask if any questions or worries to her, explain breasts if she is worried, like examine breast. Like if she's worried, we have to examine her breast also and build her confidence. This is the most important part of breastfeeding, that we have to build her confidence that she can feed this baby completely. So the fourth step is, as soon as the baby, which we are talking for since my beginning talk, that immediately and uninterrupted skin to skin contact and support to initiate breastfeeding as soon as possible after birth. So we always, to give a generalized and similar message, we usually say 1 hour. Because if I say as soon as possible, what will happen? Someone will say half an hour, someone will say as soon as, for the other person it will be once the mother is cleaned up, shifted to the ward, it takes 2 hours. So it should be before 1 hour and as soon as possible. So here you can see the baby is on the mother's chest, and it's been seen that this really initiates breastfeeding very well, and also it prevents hypothermia. But how it has to be done, what all things has to be taken care of, has to be learned. Here also the baby has been put to the mother's chest, and here the cesarean is going on, the baby is put on the chest, breast. So nowadays most of the cesareans are taking place in spinal, and the mother is conscious enough. So we can start this initiation in the OT only, and if you have a Aya who is there, she can be taught about that, or attendant. Nowadays we are talking about the mother friendly hospital institutions also, and we are allowing husband or some family member near the mother, so that person can also start the breastfeeding as soon as the baby is born. The step 5 is the breastfeeding. We all know breastfeeding is natural, but everyone will agree to me that most of the time these mothers need help. Like mother will ask you whether I can feed in lying down, whether I can feed in sitting position. So we have to alleviate her queries, and we have to help her out how she can feed after cesarean, how she can feed in a normal delivery. And again we have to talk about all the attachment, good attachment, bad attachment. So they can be helped to get these breast conditions like mastitis and cracked nipples, or we have to help her in inverted nipples and all. So all these mothers need support and to initiate and also to maintain breastfeeding and also to manage common difficulties. So this will be only possible if we have a trained people in our institution who can tackle all these difficulties, or we can make mother talk to person who is trained in these situations. Now it's very, I feel bad. Many of the hospitals, the babies are separated from the baby, whether they, even if they don't need the nursery, they are separated and they are not kept with the mother. So I think it should not be done. And many times the baby is not well. And it's been said, I talk to many pediatricians, they say, we want to observe the baby. And I feel mother is the best observer for her baby. Anything happens to her baby, she will immediately report to you. And there in the nursery, so many babies, sisters are overworked, how they will see and observe the baby. So it's always better to keep the baby with the mother. And it's been seen that it helps in the bonding as well as it helps in the proper and well growth of the baby. And psychologist has also said that if the baby is coming from such a close contact of the mother, and now if you separate, they are really stressed, and their mental development of the lobe of the right side is also doesn't take that much. So it's always very, very important to keep the baby with the mother. And even if the newborns are not to be given any food or plates, if they have to be separated, like they're not well and they have to be separated from the mother, preterm or any sick baby, then they should be given only breast milk. And this can be given by expressing the breast milk. The mother can donate this milk and can be fed with a cup or a katori. And only formula milk or substitute should be given if the medically indicated. Many times these mothers do complain that I don't have milk, how to give it, but these small amount of colostrum which is secreted in first 2 or 3 days is quite enough for the baby, and it is very energetic and it's very good for the prevention of an infection. So she can give this in a syringe and the baby can be fed with or licked with this colostrum. So many of the times it's been said that the babies are separated, as I said, and previously we used to say that the baby should be in the cradle near to, but now we prefer that babies should be previously we used to say baby should be roomed in, but now we say they should be bed in. And if they are roomed in like in a cradle, even then they should be, that mother should be able to see the baby. They should not be at the other end of the baby mother's face. So they should be very close. And why they should be very close? And it's been seen if the babies are kept very close to the mother, they can look for. So step 4 is, and this closeness of the baby supports mothers to identify feeding clues. You can see this baby is opening the mouth, but he is separated from the mother and no one is looking at her how to feed, whether he needs feed or not. So we have to support mother to keep the baby together, as well as to identify the feeding clues like opening mouth, lips smackling, protruding tongue, rooting for breast. The baby start tilting his neck here and there, and the baby is agitated or crying. So if we identify at the level of rooting, these babies cries less, and if they cry less, the mother think my milk is enough, and she gives the baby milk as soon as the baby start rooting. But most of the time the baby is given to the mother-in-laws or they are separated. When they start crying, then only they are given to the mother for breastfeeding, and everyone says this is a crying baby and your milk is not sufficient, and then they start something from the outside. So the ninth step of making our hospital or the institution baby friendly is we have to counsel. Most of the time, previously, we never used to counsel about the dangers of breastfeeding. But now it's very important that we counsel mother and we tell her about the dangers and risk of feeding bottles, teats and pacifiers. So this is again should be a policy for our hospital that we are telling every mother not to use these bottles. And the last one is to coordinate discharge. Many times we don't see whether the mother has learned how to breastfeed exclusively or she's having any problems. So once we are discharging, we should be sure that she is confident in attaching a baby, and then only we should send her back. And we should also tell them to assist to ongoing support and care of if any lactation consultants or mother support groups or ashas, Anganwadis or their peer group. So in hospital, what we can do, mothers who are doing good in the exclusive breastfeeding, we can make their group in our hospital, and then those groups can be consulted if the mother, and the peer group training is the best training for the mother. So in all immunization sessions, we have to look for babies having any problem, then mother should be taught about it. And so the discharge process is also very important when the mothers are going home. So this is a picture of a baby taking cesarean after the cesarean, and how the stitching is going on, and we have started. It's in my hospital, and so all maternity healthcare facilities should be breastfeeding friendly, as I feel, and I think it's not very difficult. We can do it if we unite together, and it's not possible, as ma'am is also there and she's always there for the mission, and I think we can do it. So successful breastfeeding is not the sole responsibility of mothers, but it is a societal responsibility. So let's join hands to give the best start to our newborn. Thank you.